What if the already #1 seeded Warriors team was able to get even more talent to help them win now? Well, as crazy as this sounds, the Golden State Warriors are in a very interesting situation as a franchise, being that despite their win now intentions, they also have an insane amount of young talent that they could trade for championship level upgrades. There are many trades that the Warriors could make before the 2022 NBA trade deadline, but in my eyes, there is one player and one player only that this team should make a move for. You guessed it, I'm talking about Myles Turner. Today we have to talk Golden State Warriors, in particular taking a deep dive into why this team needs to make a trade for Myles Turner, what the impact of this huge move would be, and what exactly the trade package for this elite big man would look like. But before we get into that, we are trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before my birthday in February. So if you enjoy the content, it would be absolutely clutch if you subscribed if you're new and join the Woods crew. But with all that being said, let's get right into the Golden State Warriors and a possible trade for Myles Turner. Entering the 2022 season, some people believe that the Golden State Warriors would be far from contending due to a lack of star power on the roster. Sure, they had Steph Curry and Draymond Green, but other than that, this team was simply filled with role players that couldn't help this team win at the highest level, right? Well, despite this being a somewhat common narrative, the Warriors came out the gates firing on all cylinders and made it very apparent that they are in fact legit. Between Steph Curry playing like an MVP up until recently, Draymond Green being one of the best defensive players in the league, and players like Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins stepping up on offense and defense, this Warriors team was able to mesh everything together and form a seamless roster. A roster that many people believe could win it all this year. On top of that, as mentioned, this Warriors team has a monumental amount of young talents that aren't even needed in the rotation, which has led many to discuss the Warriors possibly making a win-now trade and making some upgrades where they need it. Don't get me wrong here, I think that all three of the Warriors' young players in Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and James Wiseman have the potential to be great someday, but at the moment, this team is trying to win it all with Steph and Klay, so it might be in their best interest to make some upgrades. I'm not saying that the Warriors should deal away all their young talent either. In fact, I would say that this team should keep Wiseman and Kuminga unless they traded for a legitimate superstar. But I and many others definitely wouldn't be opposed to this team exploring smaller trade options for someone like, I don't know, Moses Moody. Despite the narrative that in order to get win-now talent that will actually make an impact, you have to mortgage away your future, I think there is a few trades that the Warriors could make without doing that. The main trade being for Pacers stud Myles Turner. If you haven't been keeping up with the recent news, let me catch you up. The Pacers have been in mediocrity since Victor Oladipo got injured for them, and despite having a ton of talent on their roster, they just haven't been able to win. Because of this, the team recently announced that they'd be trading away some of their big pieces and, quote, shifting towards a rebuild so they could actually get some lottery picks while they're bad. With this report also came some details that the Pacers were listening to offers for Domantas Sabonis, Myles Turner, Karis LeVert, and other players such as TJ Warren and Malcolm Brogdon. The Pacers even went as far as saying what types of packages they'd like for each player, so what exactly are they looking for in exchange for Myles Turner? Well, according to multiple reports, the Indiana Pacers are looking for no more than 2 first-round picks or a young player with potential and 1 first-round pick. I don't know about you guys, but to me, this seems like a match made in heaven for a team like the Warriors. All this team would have to do to get Turner is give away just 2 of their future assets for someone that could have a monumental impact on this team's winning ability right now. But we get it, the Warriors could easily acquire Myles Turner and not sacrifice their future, but why should they? There are a variety of reasons why I and many others believe the Warriors should make this move, but today I want to cover the 3 main reasons that this is a must for the Dubs, the first of which having to do with the defense of this team. Most Warriors fans who have tuned into games this year would know that this team has one of the best perimeter defenses in the league. Between Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, who are both elite wing defenders at this point in time, the Warriors have no trouble clamping up players on the perimeter. Looking at the stats, it is blatantly clear that the Warriors' defense in the paint isn't nearly as elite compared to on the perimeter. At the time of this recording, the Warriors have the 4th best 3-point defense in the league and are 2nd in steals, which can definitely be credited to the wing defenders on the roster. However, if we take a look at the stats in the paint, the Warriors are actually below average in blocks per game and field goal percentage allowed inside the arc, which takes their overall defensive rating from one of the best in the league to a measly 19th best overall defense in the league. Now I know that this team has been playing small ball, but in the past, we have seen this team do big things when they have a bruiser center that can do the dirty work down low. Andrew Bogut was a perfect example of this, and the team does have Kevon Looney at the moment, but he's pretty one-sided player when it comes to the offensive game. Myles Turner would be a huge upgrade for the Warriors on the defensive end. This season, Myles Turner leads the league in blocks per game, averaging 2.8 blocks every time he's on the floor, which is by far the most in the entire league, with Rudy Gobert trailing in 2nd place by over half a block per game. Turner has shown the ability to be fearless at the rim and block anyone that drives in without fouling them a majority of the time, which is something that young Warriors big man James Wiseman struggled with last season. Turner would be great for the defense of this team and could even be a mentor for Wiseman and help him develop. But where things get even better is on the offensive end of the ball. Being that Turner leads the league in blocks per game, many people assume that he's a Rudy Gobert type player on the offensive end, but the opposite is true. Myles Turner is one of the rare big men that is elite on the defensive end, but can also stretch the floor and shoot over 40% from 3, which is elite to say the least. Having Turner on the floor would not negatively impact the Warriors' spacing in any way, because he is in fact a threat from outside, and he would actually make them a lot more versatile due to the fact that he's a lob threat down low. Myles Turner's fit on the Warriors looks to be seamless. The man would give them a presence in the paint, elevate their defense, and also improve their offense. Not to mention the mentorship he could provide for young James Wiseman. But how exactly could the Warriors make this dream trade a reality? There are a few ways that the Warriors could go about making this move, but with that being said, let's get right into the first potential trade package that would send Myles Turner to the Bay. In this trade, the Warriors would send off Kevon Looney, Nico Mannion, and 2 first-round picks along with cap filler to bring in Myles Turner. In particular, these 2 picks from the Dubs would likely be the Warriors' 2022 and 2025 first-round picks. We all know that the 2022 pick won't be very valuable unless the lottery favors the Dubs heavily, but the 2025 pick could definitely be something, so the Pacers take a chance and make a trade for this pick. In my eyes, this is the least likely scenario for both teams, because the Pacers would basically be giving away Myles Turner for 1 first-round pick, and on the Warriors side of things, they would have to give away a lot of their role players to make the money work. When I mention cap filler in this trade, the Warriors would have to make up a whopping $9 million to make it work. They could probably finesse and get some cash from elsewhere, but most likely in this instance, they would have to give away a handful of players in this trade such as Bjelica, Iguodala, and other key role players. To be honest, I do not like the idea of this trade for the Warriors because even though the Pacers only want 2 first-round picks, the Warriors would have to trade away a lot of their bench just to make the money work. However, if the Dubs included 1 young player making decent money with a first-round pick, this changes things. In this instance, the Warriors would not have to sacrifice as much of their depth to make the money work, and instead they would actually be getting Turner for basically a young player and a pick. This trade package will be pretty simple. The Warriors send off Kevon Looney, Nico Mannion, Moses Moody, and a first-round pick, and about $4 million from whatever other players they choose in exchange for Myles Turner. Being that Moses Moody is making around $3.5 million per year, the Warriors would have to give up a lot less for this trade like I mentioned. Moody has shown the potential to be a two-way beast in the future, but if I had to choose one Warriors player to give up for Turner, I would have to say Moody, because the upside of Wiseman and Kuminga is just too much for this team to ignore. The Pacers would likely do this deal in a heartbeat. Not only do they get a first-round pick, but they also begin their rebuild transition by getting a great two-way guard for the future. For this package, the Warriors could likely not give away any depth if they're able to finesse their way into getting $4 million from elsewhere to cover the trade. But either way, this would overall be a very small price to pay for someone like Turner that could have a huge impact on the team winning now, and as they continue to try and win now with Steph and Klay. The last scenario for a Turner trade is where things get truly interesting though. Due to the Warriors being tight on money, they could get a third team involved to help out and complete an even bigger trade for the Pacers. So with that being said, let's get right into the package. In this trade between the Pacers, Warriors, and Raptors, the Warriors would receive Myles Turner and cash from Toronto to make the money work. The Pacers would receive Moses Moody, a Warriors first round pick, Nemanja Bjelica, OG Anunoby, and Chris Boucher, and the Raptors would receive Domantas Sabonis. This would be a huge trade that accomplishes the goals of every team involved. The Warriors get Turner without giving up their depth, the Pacers get young talent that they can use for the future while trading away their stars, and the Raptors get Sabonis to help them in their win-now efforts. Keep in mind that this trade only happens if Toronto wants to make a win-now push, but with the way that Fred VanVleet is playing, I don't think there's any reason for this team not to try and win now with the talent they have. Sabonis would add another star to the Raptors, and they could pivot from the 10th seed to a legitimate playoff team. To put it simply, there are a ton of ways that the Golden State Warriors could get a deal done for Myles Turner, and honestly, in almost any scenario, acquiring this elite big man will set this team up for success in their win-now window. Let me know down below what you think of the possible Myles Turner Warriors trade, and other than that, thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Woods out.